read the quote. Them, the California boys, in terms of being insecure and having time of insecurity, it was always like, I'm not that attractive, I'm not that strong, I don't have that language, I don't surf, I don't go to the beach, things like that. With my Mexican family, I felt bad because I couldn't be like them, like a macho figure with the whole beard and everything. So here Lisa's talking about the mainstream masculinity that we see in the media and whatnot, and not being able to quite fit either or mold. And this otherness influenced the process of adaptability. So here Jose explains, I was aware that I have identity problems since a young age because my friends made me aware of this. My friends in the U.S. call me Mexicano, and my friends in Mexico would call me American. So early on in age, I was able to decide that once I got across the border, I was Mexicanized. I would Mexicanize myself, and once I was once I was on the side, I would Americanize myself to adapt to both sides. By being aware of this, I would mold my identity to become a chameleon, like the animal. So, and then the transborder culture. Due to time, I can't read all of these, but really what the transborder culture means is being able to identify to other individuals who also were crossing the border frequently. Not so much identifying with the Mexican or the American, but more to the people, the group that share these experiences, these values, these beliefs. And some of those values, beliefs were, for example, in the simplest sense, well, the border isn't quite a border, it's just traffic, as students would illustrate. On campus, there was a lot of lack of understanding of these experiences. Unfortunately, the political climate that we have in the United States influences higher education, as we know. So the anti-immigrant sentiment can be seen in the experiences of students, particularly the transborder students. So this is how you can see how they experience the lack of understanding, racism from faculty members. And here's the lack of understanding. They are always aware of you, but they don't get you. Either you are, and now the student is talking about commuting. They are always aware of you, but they don't get you. Either you are arriving really early or really late, and it depends if you are catching the bus or on time or late. There are never special treatments for transborder students. Some professors would not understand that if the waiting time on the border was over the regular 1 hour, 2 hours, it was 3 hours, and you arrived 20 minutes late. So, living a transborder lifestyle, and again, going to the understanding of the whole border and it being hostile, this is the experiences that students live every day. So, when they get to class, let's say they arrive 20 minutes late, they have already experienced a whole world of problems just to arrive there, and their commute could have started 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours even before they arrive. And now, unfortunately, also racism. When I went to the pseudonym for the community college, teachers didn't know I lived in Mexico, but they still make jokes related to transborder people. They made taking the bus a negative thing, stigma about living in TJ. They don't go to TJ. They have a bad concept about the people there. They have negative ideas about the city. It makes them think that people are uneducated. So here, I don't know how many people are from San Diego or California, but I can tell you that, again, unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma related to Tijuana. There's a lot of stigma related to Mexico, and this is reflected into the experiences of these students in the community college context. Although the students experienced these negative experiences, they had these negative interactions with faculty members and staff, they also, there were positive experiences as well, and but these experiences were kind of like the exception, but nonetheless made an impact in their success. And due to time, I'm not going to get to all the quotes, but um, just a few, sorry about this, just a few and skip over to the challenges. So how does that look like, the lack of time? So here Luis explains, you would spend 3 hours at least just from getting out of the door to your house in Mexico, catching the bus in Mexico, arriving to the border, doing the border wait, then the trolley, plus the bus. So it's an experience that takes 2 to 3 hours of time just to take a 50-minute class once you arrive. So this illustrates again the whole world of problems that the students face just to arrive to class. And the fatigue, Jose explains. The challenge is getting a good grade in class because we have less time to study, more time commuting, and also commuting. And as I told you, fatigue, just losing sleep, having less time to rest affects our performance, not only in class, but at home studying. I would say that by being male, you're supposed to be more strong and supposed to perform and not be mentally fatigued. We are expected to perform like regular students that are not mentally or physically fatigued. So it's very exhausting. This commute, daily can take up to 5 hours just round trip, in addition to students taking full-time classes, in addition to students working. So it's a very tiresome process. And then this theme that I call targeted by authorities and profiled by authorities and targeted by drug lords. So that was illustrated through the harassment by U.S. Customs agents and harassment by Mexican police, as well as being profiled by people who sell drugs. So when I first started, it was before 9/11. I didn't like the Border Patrols because I didn't know my rights. There was a Border Patrol officer who would go grab me and send me to secondary, no matter where I was waiting in line, whether I was in his line or not. He used to just grab me and send me to secondary, until once I became angry and told him, you know what, you will have to let me go anyway. Sometimes I used to miss class because he would just detain me and take me. But he wasn't the only racist officer there. There were others too. And then the targeted by drug lords. There was always the opportunity to get access to drugs. I would always be meeting these people. I mean, in the trolley, you can be meeting a drug lord, you can be meeting a junkie. Obviously, people were always coming up to me asking, do you want to cross this? They were always coming up to me because they knew I crossed every day. Yeah, so there were always questions from those types of people from Mexico and the U.S. asking, so you cross the border every day? So there's this business you can do. So here you can see how that is illustrated, the targeted by drug lords and profiled by authorities on both sides of the border. So implications for practice. There, as we know, society changes, students change. Our students are becoming more global, more transnational, more transborder, and therefore our institutions also need to change. Policies need to change. For example, just here in San Diego State, we're Hispanic Serving Institute, yet the term transborder is not used. These experiences are not acknowledged. And it is reflected in the policies. Residency, for example, it is nature for a transborder individual to live in both nations, to belong to both nations. But yet here, you can only live in one or the other. So for example, if a student lives in San Diego and also lives in Tijuana, just by the fact of living in Tijuana, they have to pay out-of-state tuitions. Which, by the way, a lot of these students, a prior study I did, quantitative, revealed that a lot of students are low income. Also, capitalize